Hey everybody, welcome back to Cuddles R Us. Today we're going to be talking about everything Ornithopter. How to get your first one, what parts matter the most to get the best upgrades. Also, how to fly like a pro. So whether you're fighting, hauling, or even just trying to escape the sandworm or the Carryall storm, I got you covered. So let's dive in. First off, we're going to have to farm a couple of spots if we're going to get our Ornithopter. Alright, first we want to go over to this Maya's Terrell. Now this encampment is the electric worm, so on screen you'll see me, I'm going to times it by 2 so we can get through it, but all you have to do is farm this one time to essentially be able to have enough diamond dye dust and carbine scraps to get your first Ornithopter up and running. But it's not the only place we have to go to farm, so we will also have to go to Sentinel City, alright, because you're going to need the industrial pumps. Those industrial pumps are required to process your Ornithopter wings. And no matter what you do, no matter how many Ornithopters that you build, they all will take these key components. So industrial pumps, carbon scraps, and diamond dust, all right, they're gonna take these parts, are the crucial parts that you need to create your Ornithopter from here to tier 6. So in my personal experience, I've only had to run these one time to make one Ornithopter. So depends on how many Ornithopters you want to make. Depends on how many times you want to run this. But with that said, let's shift gears. So shifting gears, let's go ahead, since you now know where to farm to get your Ornithopter, let's go over the basic controls on how to fly one. You know, if this is your first one, you may want to know this. If you're a long-term player, you might get something out of this too. So stay tuned, because I'm going to show you how to fly like a pro. So when you first get here, you're going to just enter the vehicle. It's always going to prompt you to set your home point. You know, you can just press enter, set your home point, depending on, if that's what you want to do or not. So first off, you hit spacebar to fly straight up. All right. You press shift to go into vulture mode. This is your glide feature. But the one good thing about glide is, if you put your reticle about right even with the scout, you'll fly at a nice constant speed. All right. You lose very little altitude at the same time. So we're just flying straight a 172, and it's just consistent. Now we are losing a little bit of altitude here and there, but it's really how far can we glide without just falling to the ground. Now, there are people that do the little wave and stuff like this. Now, that's great. But if you want to be more hands-free, this is the way to glide. All right? You do lose a little bit. It is what it is. So, with that said, thanks to good old Funcom, this is technically the third video I made about this same subject, but they changed the rockets the first time, so I remade it with the changes to the rockets, and I remade it now because they just put out a new patch that allowed you to test the, well, not test, but to have better boost with the Scout Ornithopter. So if you want to see more of this content, please do hit that like and hit that subscribe and hit that bell, because if you want to know more. But so now we're gonna use the booster. Okay, so boosting, I'm pressing spacebar and W, and we're just boosting up. All right, so let's see what we get in the glide speed. So now we're just gliding. So now let's hit that booster again. 197. That's very significant when you look at trying to get away from somebody. And also do keep in mind that I am using a Mark IV thruster. So this speed will gradually get better with the Mark VI and so on and so forth. But when you're gliding, if you're using a booster or whatever you're using, you can just spacebar. You want to make sure that you go as high as you can, but if you notice, when I get high altitude, my fuel consumption actually goes up. The funny thing is about a booster as well is the fact that when you hit your booster, it doesn't use any fuel. So if you're using your booster, you can actually get to a higher altitude, but it does overheat a little bit faster. So with that said, your average glide speed for a tier 5 is going to be 172. So just keep that reticle right underneath the line. It's kind of funny how that works, but a little bit of practice, you'll be flying like a pro too. Now, another pro tip is you can actually fly upside down. And if you push up, you turn, right? You can actually go right back into vulture mode, and you can essentially just turn around mid-air. You can also do this by pushing down. So you're just flying and then you just go in. So this little maneuver will help you navigate some of those PvP encounters that you're trying not to get involved with. So you just fly over. Now you can push down and you can go underneath. All right. You always want to make sure that you hit spacebar. For some odd reason, it doesn't like to turn all the way over. And then, if you're using boosters, you can just hold down and you'll actually be able to do a full loop. So, a little something for you guys that watch. So please hit that subscribe. With that said, let's go ahead and let's shift back to upgrades. How do you upgrade? What upgrade should we be looking at doing first? And stuff like this. So now we're ready to start getting to our next phase. We're looking to upgrade our Ornithopter. I know you know how to fly now. You know a little bit about the Ornithopter. So let's go ahead and let's start switching it up. Now we're going to talk about parts that you may want to upgrade first. Now, if you're looking for more glide speed, you may want to do your wings first. They're super important. All right. Second would be the motor. Now, this is going to be how fast you lift up off the ground. It's great for, incoming worms, or if you just need to bounce like super fast because somebody's coming PvP wise. Third would be the generator. That's going to be giving you your heat resistance. Very nice to have, but it's one of the last things that I would upgrade. If you don't really need to change the cockpit or the hull, because they're really not performance parts. They're armor parts. Now, if you're in a lot of PvP encounters, like, you may want to upgrade those parts just due to the fact that if you lose your cockpit or you lose your hull, like, you lose your Ornithopter. Okay. So I'm not saying don't upgrade those in the future, but I'm just saying if you want to get faster flying and stuff like this, these are the key parts that I would upgrade first. So now that all the parts are installed, let's go ahead and take it for a test drive. Let's see how fast we can get it to go. So with the T6 wings, the motor, the generator, and I still have that Mark IV thruster. So, all right, we're going to take our lift, get about 100. And then we go right into our glide. Pretty perfect, 182. So we gained 10 on speed, both sides. So this will provide you with a little bit better. But the funny thing is like the rocket or so now our glide with the booster is 208, which huge for trying to get away. All right. So boosters are going to play a bigger part and a bigger role inside Ornithopters. So you can also do a loop now, which before without the boosters, this is pretty much you'd get there and it would fall. So let's say that you're trying to do a little loop-de-loop. You get to about right there, like it's coming over, and then you're crashing to the ground. So the booster provides a little bit more unique maneuverability when it comes to fighting. Now, I can't say that when it comes to the assault. That's a little different story. And let's add rockets. Okay. Now that we have rockets, you definitely do see a decrease in speed, about 10 when it comes to your lift. So if we skate in right there, 146. So it is. So even a T5 Ornithopter will be able to outrun even with a makeshift T6 ship. So do keep that in mind when you're running rockets, that you are there to fight. You are not there to, chase and hound individuals. Like, that's completely up to you how you want to use those. But your maneuverability does take a little bit of a hit. As you see, you can't even go all the way around. The boosters do provide a lot more unique opportunities. But with that said, we're all done with the scout. Now let's talk about assault ornithopters. Big upgrade, big power, but also more work, right? You're going to need to be farming the PvP areas up here, the Atreides PvP areas, to find a lot of these parts. You're going to need a military grade pistons and motors, and the only thing that you can really do is farm the Atreides bases and the Harkonnen bases in the PvP areas to get these materials. I will have to say that this one down here in Seoul is probably one of the better ones to farm, just due to the fact that it's super easy to get into, and it is one of the higher tier resources, and you can find a couple of parts for an ornithopter as well right there. So keep that in mind. Now you still will need more pumps, carbine scraps, and diamond dust for this too. Now the modules do matter when you look at a scout ornithopter or an assault ornithopter versus a scout. The scout ornithopter will only be able to hold one module, which would be storage, rockets, or boosters. Okay, the assault ornithopters will be allowed to hold two of those. One's going to be your thruster, and then it's going to be either rockets or storage. Now you can have rockets. You cannot have rockets and storage. You can only have boosters and one of the two. All right. They do not, so you can't mix match. But your booster is included as like the Scouts survey module, right? It's just, it comes pretty standard with them. But you may want to look at like the order in which to upgrade your assault ornithopter. Now, I would do the same thing that I would do with the Scout, and I would upgrade the wings, the motor, the generator, and then potentially your booster and rockets. If you're running rockets, there's no upgrade to a storage. So there's one storage. I'm sorry. With the PvP rocket nerf, it changed the game a little bit on what was superior out there in the DD in rocket power. Okay. You seen the Scout with rockets does about 150. All right. Versus like the 190 that you can get with a, storage or boosters, close to 200 now. Like, that's insane. Now, an assault, with storage and a booster, right? This is a T5. All right. You'll only get about, what is that? 150, 160. So it's also not as maneuverable as the Scout is. So there is a little bit more that you have to do when it comes to a Scout Ornithopter. Now, the same thing does apply when you're flying. Your line is a little bit lower on the Assault. They do take a little bit more to maneuver. They're a little bit more clunky, and I guess they're just designed that way. So that was a T5, full T5. all right, with storage. Now, like I said, this is a makeshift T6 because I didn't replace the chassis, I didn't replace the cockpit or the hull, and also my boosters are still T5. All right, same with the rockets. Like, they cost a lot to make, guys. They cost a lot to make. So please do like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content. But with the rockets, the Scout Ornithopter really does become a force to be reckoned with because you are seeing about 150 speed. So you'll be able to keep up with a T5 assault without rockets to a degree because you'll also have your boost. All right. But as you see, it's not as maneuverable as the Scout. Now, the one thing that you can do is, you know, you can only go straight down. But you can't really, there's really not a lot of maneuverability when it comes to this assault. You are there to either transport goods or to fight. And if you bring this to fight, you know, good luck to you. It does fly very well because you do get the boosters. All right, so you can boost. The thing is like when you boost, the rockets and the boost take the same temperature. So do keep that in mind that if you are overheated on your rockets, you will not be able to boost to get out of the way of somebody. Right now, there's a real issue with the assaults and scouts. So if you had a T6 scout, you could just fly right on top of an assault ornithopter and just kind of land on his roof and hit him, and they'll eventually, you can push them down to the sand and you can like essentially lock them into place. It's very bad game design and very bad physics when it comes to this, but it is doable. But with that said, that is the assault ornithopter. But we still have one more, the Carryall. So the Carryall is a different beast altogether. So when you're running the Carryall, all right, it's all Mark 6. Like, it is the top end. It's the hardest thing to make in the entire game, and goes as slow as molasses. So, like, I'm just letting you know. They have two different sets of wings that they have. They have the rock wings and they have the standard wings. Now, I'll show you the difference between the both sets. Now, when we look at the Carryall, okay? Now, the Carryall itself has a booster and also has a grab feature, which is a little tricky to work with. But that boost feature will allow you to get to a little over 100 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour, however you guys want to do it. So in regular fly mode, like if you have something attached, you cannot vulture mode, so you can't glide. Oh, you can only glide when you don't have anything attached. And the glide, it only gets you to like 140. So, you know, that's going to be up to you. And that's a little different. But let me show you the other set of wings. So the rock wings for the Carryall, they do say that they're a speed. But I found that they don't really work in vulture mode. They only work under motor power. But it does provide you a little bit more speed when it comes to the Carryall. Now, it's not very much speed, okay? Like, the Carryall is still slow, but you can get it to go a little bit faster with these wings. I wish they gave you more armor or something like this for the wings, but they just don't. But you can see we can boost up to about 107. So your actual fly speed is like 109 with something attached to you. So, you know, like 110 with something attached. Okay. Now, vulture mode is a little different. So when you're looking at like vulture mode, You can only do this when you don't have a vehicle attached, but you can get up to about 150. It doesn't really change the vulture mode glide. The wings only change what power they have under the motor. So you can be more maneuverable with something attached than you can with, in vulture mode. So keep that in mind. And if you like this kind of content, please do hit like and subscribe and hit that bell because you want to know more. We're really trying to push out more content like this. So we would really enjoy your support, and please do come join the community. Now, with that said, I'm going to go get some spice, and I will see you guys in the next video.